The crystal chandeliers of Riverside Estate reflected off 200 champagne glasses as my sister Victoria's wedding reception reached its peak. I'd arrived alone as expected, wearing a simple navy dress while Victoria sparkled in her custom Vera Wang gown that cost more than most people's cars. Sophia. My Aunt Carol grabbed my arm as I entered. You came by yourself again? I did, I said, keeping my voice neutral. She patted my hand with theatrical sympathy. Well, you're still young. 35 isn't too old to find someone. I'd heard variations of this my entire adult life. While Victoria had dated the quarterback, joined the right sorority, and married the right corporate lawyer, I'd built a career in venture capital. I'd spent my 20s and early 30s analyzing investment opportunities, managing portfolios, and building relationships with entrepreneurs who were changing industries. But to my family, I was just the daughter who'd chosen spreadsheets over settling down. The ceremony was beautiful, I said to my mother Margaret as I reached the family table. She barely looked at me. Victoria always did have impeccable taste. Not like, she stopped herself, but the implication hung in the air between us. My father Richard lifted his scotch. Your sister knows what matters in life. Family. Leggy. Stability. I'd long ago stopped trying to explain that I had all of those things. They just looked different than what my family valued. So I smiled, nodded, and took my seat at the edge of the family table, the spot reserved for the disappointing daughter who showed up alone. The reception flowed through its predictable rhythm. Victoria and her husband James had their first dance. The speeches began. His college roommate, her maid of honor, my father's toast about finally having a daughter who made him proud. That last one stung more than usual. I checked my phone discreetly. A text glowed on the screen. Almost time. Are you sure about this? I typed back. Absolutely. See you soon. Then my mother stood up. She wasn't scheduled to give a speech, but Margaret Montgomery had never let a schedule stop her from having her moment. She picked up the microphone and the room quieted. I want to say something about my daughters, she began, and my stomach dropped. This wasn't going to be good. Victoria has always been everything a mother could hope for. Beautiful, accomplished, and now married to a wonderful man. She gestured at my sister, who beamed. She understood what truly matters. Building a life with someone, creating a family, having something real. My mother's eyes found me across the table. But I have another daughter. Sophia. He said my name like it tasted bitter. Look at her, 35 and still alone. 200 heads turned toward me. You'll never find love like your sister. You spent all those years chasing some career that clearly hasn't fulfilled you, because here you are. No husband, no children, no real life to speak of. Just work. Always work. The whispers started immediately. Guests leaned toward each other, eyebrows raised. Some looked at me with pity. Others with judgment. My Aunt Carol actually shook her head sadly. I just hope, my mother continued, her voice dripping with false sympathy, that someday you'll realize what you've missed. That you'll understand that a woman's real success isn't measured in business deals or bank accounts. It's measured in love, in partnership, in family. She raised her glass. To Victoria and James, a real success story. The room toasted. I stayed seated, my champagne untouched. My sister Victoria caught my eye and smirked. She'd always enjoyed watching me squirm during these family gatherings. The successful one. The favorite. The daughter who'd done everything right. I checked my watch. 8:47 p.m. Perfect timing. I caught the eye of the event coordinator near the DJ booth and gave a small nod. The music stopped abruptly. The sudden silence made everyone look up, confused. The DJ stepped back from his equipment, and a figure emerged from the shadows near the stage. Daniel Rivers walked across the reception floor carrying a wireless microphone. He was, as always, devastatingly handsome in his tailored Tom Ford tuxedo. His dark hair was perfectly styled, his presence commanding immediate attention. Several women in the crowd sat up straighter. My mother's eyes narrowed, she'd never seen him before. No one in my family had. Daniel walked directly to our table, his eyes locked on mine. A smile played at his lips. The same smile he'd given me the first time we met 3 years ago when I'd walked into his flagship restaurant to discuss a potential investment. Good evening, everyone, he said into the microphone, his voice carrying across the silent ballroom. I apologize for the interruption, but I couldn't let this moment pass. My mother started to stand. "Excuse me, this is a private. My name is Daniel Rivers," he continued smoothly. "And I need to address something that was just said." He stopped beside my chair and the entire room leaned forward. "Ms. Margaret Montgomery just told this room that her daughter Sophia will never find love. That she's 35 and alone. That she's somehow failed at what really matters in life." Daniel's hand found mine and he pulled me gently to my feet. "Actually, Ms. Montgomery and I are getting married next month." The gasps were audible. My mother's face went white. "We've been together for 3 years, Daniel continued, his voice warm and clear. "Engaged for 6 months. We kept it private because Sophia valued building something real away from public scrutiny. But I think it's time people knew the truth." He turned to face me fully, and even though this was planned, even though we'd rehearsed this moment, my heart still raced. This venue? Our engagement gift to ourselves. Silence. Complete, absolute silence. Then my father found his voice. "What do you mean, your venue?" Daniel smiled. "I mean, I own Riverside Estate. I've owned it for 4 years. This property, the grounds, the kitchens, the staff. All mine. Well, ours now." The event coordinator appeared beside us, holding a tablet. "Mr. Rivers, the kitchen staff is asking about tomorrow's prep schedule. Tell Antoine I'll be there by 6 a.m., Daniel said. "The private client dinner for the governor takes precedence." She nodded and disappeared. My sister Victoria's mouth opened and closed like a fish. You own this place?" "I do. Along with 7 other venues across the state. You might be familiar with some of them." Daniel's voice carried that easy confidence that came from years of building an empire. "The Riverside Collection. Forbes called it the most innovative hospitality group in the Northeast last month." My Aunt Carol whispered loudly to my mother. "Isn't that the chef who was on that Netflix show?" Daniel heard her. "Yes, that was me." The next wave covered my restaurant's farm-to-table initiative. We were also featured on Chef's Table Season 4. My mother's face had gone from white to red. "Sophia never mentioned." "Because Sophia asked me not to," Daniel interrupted gently. "She wanted to keep our relationship private. But after hearing what was just said about her, I think it's time everyone understood who Sophia Montgomery really is." He turned to address the full room. "Sophia isn't just in business. She's one of the most successful venture capitalists on the East Coast. She has an MBA from Wharton. She's funded 17 successful startups in the last decade, including mine. When I was a chef with a dream and no capital, Sophia saw potential where others saw risk. She invested $2 million in my first restaurant." The number made several people gasp. "That investment is now worth over $40 million, Daniel continued. "Her portfolio includes tech companies, sustainable agriculture initiatives, and the hospitality group I now run. She sits on 4 corporate boards. Last year she was named to Fortune's 40 Under 40 list." My father's Scotch glass hung frozen halfway to his lips. "So when I hear someone say Sophia has no real success, I have to wonder what reality you're living in. The woman I love has built something extraordinary. She's brilliant, accomplished, and has more integrity in her little finger than most people have in their entire bodies." Daniel's hand squeezed mine. "And yes, we're getting married. Next month. At our private estate in the Berkshires. The property Sophia purchased last year as a weekend retreat. It's a small ceremony. Just 50 people. People who actually know us and appreciate what we've built together." The silence was deafening. Then my mother tried to recover. "Well, that's wonderful news. We had no idea. Sophia, why didn't you tell us?" I found my voice for the first time since Daniel had walked in. "Because every time I tried to share anything about my life, you dismissed it. When I got into Wharton, you said I should have focused on finding a husband instead. When I made my first million, you asked when I'd have something real to show for my life. When I bought my first property, you said it was sad that I had money but no one to share it with." My mother opened her mouth to protest, but I kept going. "So I stopped sharing. I built my life with people who valued it. Daniel and I met 3 years ago when he pitched his restaurant concept. We worked together professionally for 8 months before we ever went on a date. We fell in love slowly, carefully, and privately. And yes, we're engaged." I held up my left hand. The diamond caught the light, a 5-carat emerald cut that Daniel had designed himself, set in platinum with sapphires on the band. My sister Victoria's engagement ring suddenly looked modest by comparison. This venue, I continued, was Daniel's dream project. He bought this estate 5 years ago when it was bankrupt and neglected. He restored it, redesigned it, and turned it into one of the most sought-after wedding venues in the region. He has a 2-year waiting list for dates. 2.5 years, Daniel corrected with a smile. We're booked through 2027. Victoria found her voice. But we booked this place 2 years ago. You're saying? I'm saying your sister called me personally, Daniel said. She asked if I could accommodate your wedding despite our wait list. She paid the deposit. She handled all the arrangements. This entire day. Sophia made it happen for you. The color drained from Victoria's face. And speaking of arrangements, Daniel's voice took on a slightly sharper edge. The room went silent when he added, and your sister's bill? It's $125,000. Payment is due tonight. My father choked on his scotch. $125,000? That's the standard rate for a Saturday evening in September with 200 guests, Daniel explained calmly. Premium floral arrangements, live band, 7-course dinner prepared by my executive chef, top-shelf open bar, custom lighting design and full coordination services. Actually, that's a reduced rate. Our typical September Saturday package is $175,000. James, my sister's new husband, went pale. We were told the venue was $50,000. That was the discounted family rate that Sophia negotiated, Daniel said. She covered the difference as a wedding gift. But given what was just said about her, I'm thinking maybe we need to revisit those arrangements. My mother stood up abruptly. Now wait just a minute. No, Mom, you wait. I kept my voice level but firm. You just humiliated me in front of 200 people. You told everyone I was a failure because I chose my career over conforming to your expectations. You made my sister's wedding about my supposed shortcomings. I didn't mean. You absolutely meant it. You always mean it. Every holiday, every family gathering, every phone call, it's always about how I'm not enough because I don't have what Victoria has. Victoria tried to interrupt. Sophia, I didn't know. You didn't know because you never asked. None of you asked. You just assumed that because I didn't share every detail of my life with you, there was nothing worth sharing. The ballroom had gone completely silent. 200 guests watched family drama unfold in real time. Daniel's event coordinator appeared again, this time looking uncomfortable. Mr. Rivers? The finance office is asking about the final payment. The contract stipulates payment before the end of the reception. What contract? James demanded. She held up her tablet. The venue rental agreement signed by Victoria Montgomery and James Chin. The balance of $125,000 is due before midnight tonight. James's face cycled through several colors. We don't have that kind of money available. We were told. You were told the venue was a gift, I said quietly. From me. As a wedding present. But I'm reconsidering that gift right now. My father tried his corporate negotiation voice. Sophia, let's be reasonable about this. Family is family. Your mother was just emotional, she didn't mean. Dad, you toasted Victoria by saying you finally had a daughter who made you proud. I heard every word. He had the grace to look uncomfortable. Here's what's going to happen, I continued. Victoria and James, you have 2 options. Option 1. I honor my original gift, the bill is paid and you enjoy the rest of your reception. Option 2. You pay the full $125,000 tonight and I wish you well. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. Real ones this time, not the happy bride tears from earlier. Sophia, please. We can't afford that. The honeymoon alone cost us $30,000. Then I suggest you choose option 1, I said. But it comes with conditions. What conditions? James asked warily. First, Mom issues a public apology. Right now. To me. For what she said. My mother looked like she'd been slapped. In front of everyone? You humiliated me in front of everyone. Fair is fair. Daniel handed her the microphone. His face was impassive but I could see the steel in his eyes. He'd grown up with nothing, built his empire from scratch, and he had zero tolerance for people who demeaned others. My mother took the microphone with shaking hands. I apologize, Sophia. I was wrong to say those things about you. I see now that you've been very successful. Congratulations on your engagement. It wasn't much, but it was something. Second, I continued, you respect my boundaries from now on. No more comments about my life choices. No more comparisons to Victoria. No more family gatherings where I'm treated like the disappointing daughter. I'll come to holidays if and when I choose, and you'll accept my decisions without judgment. My father started to protest, but Daniel cut him off. Those terms are more than fair. Sophia could have let you all continue believing whatever you wanted while she lived her life. Instead, she tried to do something kind for her sister. And she got publicly humiliated for it. Third, I said, Daniel and I are getting married October 15th. You're not invited to the ceremony. But if, and only if, you can demonstrate over the next month that you actually respect me and my choices, you may be invited to a small family dinner afterward. Victoria wiped her eyes. That's fair. Is it? I asked. Because I'm not sure you understand what you put me through growing up. The constant pressure to be someone I wasn't. The judgment every time I chose my path instead of yours. The way you made me feel like I was broken for wanting something different. My sister looked down at her hands. I didn't realize it was that bad. It was. Daniel wrapped an arm around my waist. Sophia asked me to stay anonymous tonight. She thought maybe if you all saw her at the wedding happy and confident, it might change something. But after what happened, she texted me. Asked me to come early. To set the record straight. He looked at my mother. Mrs. Montgomery, your daughter is extraordinary. He's kind, brilliant, and accomplished. The fact that her success doesn't look like what you wanted for her doesn't make it less real. It makes it more impressive. She built something authentic despite constant pressure to conform. The event coordinator cleared her throat gently. So, the payment? I looked at Victoria. Do you accept my conditions? She nodded, tears streaming down her face. Yes. All of them. I'm so sorry, Sophia. I really am. Then the bill is paid. Enjoy your reception. James, take care of my sister. And both of you build something real together. Something that's yours, not what anyone else expects. Daniel gestured to the DJ. Music, please. The bride and groom should have their moment. The band started up again, but the energy in the room had fundamentally shifted. Guests whispered furiously to each other. My Aunt Carol looked like she'd seen a ghost. My parents stood frozen at the family table. Daniel guided me toward the exit. Ready to leave? More than ready. As we walked out, the event coordinator called after us. Mr. Rivers, the governor's office called about next weekend's dinner. Should I confirm the menu? Email me the details, Daniel called back. We'll be at the Berkshire House until Monday. We stepped out into the cool September evening. Daniel's black Mercedes was already waiting, brought around by the valet staff who knew him well. You okay? He asked as we settled into the car. I took a deep breath. Actually, yes. I really am. That took courage. That took 35 years of their nonsense finally reaching a breaking point. I squeezed his hand. Thank you for coming when I called. Always. He started the engine. Though I have to say, the look on your mother's face when I mentioned the Berkshire Estate was priceless. She doesn't know about the Berkshire House, the Manhattan penthouse, or the villa in Tuscany. Don't forget the ski lodge in Aspen. I laughed. A real laugh, the first one all night. We are kind of ridiculous, aren't we? We're successful. There's a difference. Daniel pulled onto the main road. And speaking of success, I have news. The investors confirmed this morning. We're moving forward with the Portland expansion. 3 new venues? 4. They want to add Seattle to the mix. I pulled out my phone and opened my investment portfolio app. Let me look at the projections again. If we're adding Seattle, the capital requirements change. This is why I love you, Daniel said. Most people would be processing family trauma. You're already analyzing expansion opportunities. I can multitask. We drove in comfortable silence for a few minutes. Then my phone started buzzing. Text after text. Victoria, I really am sorry. Can we talk? Aunt Carol, your mother is very upset. You should call her. My father, we need to discuss this as a family. Unknown number. This is James. Thank you for paying for the wedding. I'm sorry for everything. I turned the phone off. Not ready to engage? Daniel asked. Not even close. I watched the lights of the city fade behind us as we headed toward our Berkshire property. I need space. Time to think about what kind of relationship, if any, I want with them moving forward. That's healthy. Is it? Or am I being petty? Daniel glanced at me. Sophia, they spent decades making you feel inadequate. Tonight you set boundaries. That's not petty. That's self-respect. He was right, of course. What do you think? I asked. About my family, I mean. Now that you've met them. I think they're people who built their entire identity around conventional success markers. And when you refused to conform, they didn't know how to process it. So they decided you were the problem instead of examining their own narrow definition of success. That's very diplomatic. I'm a Michelin star chef. Diplomacy is part of the job. He smiled. But honestly, I think they're scared. Scared of what? Of being wrong. If they admit you were right to choose your own path, they have to confront all the years they spent judging you for it. That's uncomfortable. Easier to keep insisting you're the one who needs to change. The lights of our Berkshire estate appeared in the distance. 50 acres of private land, a restored 1920s mansion, and complete peace. Do you think they'll actually change? I asked. I don't know. But I know this. You don't need them to change to be happy. You've already built an incredible life. With or without their approval, you're exactly who you're supposed to be. We pulled into the circular drive. The house lights glowed warm and welcoming. I need to tell you something, I said as Daniel turned off the engine. What's that? When I walked into your restaurant 3 years ago to discuss that investment, I knew within 5 minutes I was going to say yes. Your passion, your vision, the way you talked about creating something meaningful. I saw it all immediately. I remember. You approved the funding faster than any investor I'd ever worked with. What I didn't tell you was that I also knew within about 30 minutes of talking to you that I was in trouble. Daniel smiled. What kind of trouble? The falling in love kind. You were brilliant and driven and kind to your staff. You had this way of talking about food like it was art and science and joy all at once. And I thought, this is exactly the kind of person I've been waiting for. You hit it well. It took me 8 months to work up the courage to ask you to dinner. Best 8 months of my life. Getting to know you as a colleague first, building that foundation of respect and trust before anything else. We sat in the car, hands linked across the console. October 15th, Daniel said. That's 4 weeks from now. You sure you want to marry into this family? I'm not marrying your family. I'm marrying you. They're just, what's the restaurant term? Challenging guests who require extra patience. I laughed. That's one way to put it. Come on, he said, opening his door. I'll make you that pasta you love. We'll open that burlo we've been saving. And we'll plan our actual wedding, the one with people who love and support us. As we walked into the house, my phone buzzed one more time. I glanced at it. Victoria, the wedding was beautiful. Thank you for making it happen. I don't deserve your kindness, but I'm grateful for it. I hope someday you can forgive me for being a terrible sister. I love you. I showed the text to Daniel. Up to you, he said. But she did say thank you. Baby steps, I decided. I'll respond tomorrow. Tonight is ours. Tonight is ours, he agreed. We walked into our home, the one we'd chosen together, filled with art we'd collected on our travels, with a kitchen Daniel had designed himself. This was real success. Not the kind measured by other people's standards, but the kind built on authenticity, partnership, and choosing what actually mattered. My phone buzzed again. This time it was my business partner confirming next week's pitch meeting with a biotech startup. Life moved forward. Behind us, Victoria's reception was probably still going. My parents were probably still processing what had happened. My family was probably still trying to reconcile the daughter they thought they knew with the woman I actually was. But here, in this moment, in this home, with this man who saw me clearly and loved what he saw, I was exactly where I belonged. And that was worth more than any wedding reception, any family approval, or any conventional marker of success could ever be. 3 weeks later, my mother called. I let it go to voicemail. Then I listened to the message. Sophia, it's Mom. I've been thinking a lot about what happened at Victoria's wedding. About everything, really. I was wrong. Not just about what I said that night, but about everything. The way I treated you growing up. The pressure I put on you. The comparisons to your sister. All of it. Her voice cracked. I talked to my therapist. Yes, I'm seeing a therapist. Your father and I both are. We're trying to understand why we acted the way we did. Why we couldn't see what was right in front of us. That you were building something incredible and we were too blind to recognize it. A long pause. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect anything really. But I want you to know that I'm proud of you. Not because of the money or the success or the business, though those are impressive. I'm proud because you had the strength to be yourself despite everything we put you through. You could have conformed to make us happy and you chose authenticity instead. That takes more courage than I ever had. Another pause. If you're willing, I'd like to come to your dinner after the wedding. Not because I think I deserve to be there, but because I want to start over. I want to know the real you. The woman you actually are, not the version I kept trying to force you to become. She took a shaky breath. I love you, Sophia. I should have said that more. I should have shown it better. But I do. I'm sorry it took me this long to say it right. The message ended. I sat on our terrace overlooking the Berkshire Hills, Daniel beside me with his morning coffee. What do you think? I asked. I think she's trying. Whether it's genuine or sustainable, time will tell. But she's trying. Should I call her back? Do you want to? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Maybe. Not today. But maybe soon. Baby steps, like you said. Baby steps, Daniel agreed. On October 15th we got married in our garden. 50 people attended. Friends, colleagues, Daniel's family who'd embraced me immediately, and a handful of carefully selected relatives who'd proven they could be happy for us without conditions. My parents weren't at the ceremony, but they came to the dinner afterward, quiet, humble, and for the first time in my memory actually listening when I spoke. Victoria was there too. She pulled me aside before dinner. I canceled the honeymoon, she said. What? Why? Because James and I realized we'd been living beyond our means, trying to keep up with appearances. Trying to look successful instead of actually being successful. Your wedding gift showed us that. I don't understand. The fact that you could have paid for our entire wedding and chose to be subtle about it until we forced your hand, that showed us what real confidence looks like. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You just live your life. She hugged me tight. I want to be more like you, Sophia. Not the money part. The authentic part. The part that knows who you are and doesn't apologize for it. That's the best wedding gift you could have given me, I said. As the sun set over the Berkshires and Daniel's chef de cuisine served a meal that would make food critics weep, I looked around at the people gathered at our home. These were the people who mattered. The ones who saw me clearly. The ones who celebrated my success without resentment and supported my choices without conditions. And if my family wanted to be part of that circle, they'd have to earn their way in. The same way I'd earned everything else in my life, through authenticity, hard work, and refusing to be anything less than exactly who I was. 3 months later, my mother sent me a Christmas card. Inside was a simple note. Thank you for giving me a chance to be better. I'm learning. Love, Mom. Small steps. But they were forward steps. And that, I decided, was enough.